Hi everyone, very good morning. Welcome to BYJU'S exam prep. My name is Alpa Sharma and this is our editorial analysis. I hope I'm clearly audible and visible to everybody. Very good morning. It's a very cold and beautiful morning here where I'm taking my classes from. And if you could quickly confirm that I'm clearly audible and visible, I shall show you what the agenda of today's class is going to be, the articles that I brought, the topics that we're going to be discussing, because you guys had made a lot of requests in the last class. Although I have checked the comments that you've sent me under the last class's video, I missed out on replying to them. I'm going to be doing that today, but I've read all the comments. So, and I've seen your suggestions as well that you want articles on economics and philosophy. So doing a little bit of research. Good morning, Amrit. I have brought, okay, so here is my slide. Just give me a second. So what have I done? Looking at the requests from the last class, I've brought two articles today. Okay, we'll try to skim through both of them because I'd like to cover up both the articles today. And one of these articles is on economics plus art. So these two topics are one of the very most commonly asked topics, very frequently seen topics. And I found a very good article combining both the topics. Okay. So yes, clearly audible and visible. Hi, Maitre and Disha and Roosters. Good morning. Yes, clearly audible and visible. Okay. So I brought one of these articles and then there's another article from the Hindu, which is, you can call it, about life, you can call it about a little bit of philosophy, you can call it a little bit about environment. It's a mixture of everything. So we're going to be doing both the articles today. No separate list of vocabulary. We'll be studying the vocabulary from the articles. We'll discuss the tone, summary, draw inferences. We'll see, learn how to mind map. We'll see what's the main idea and what lines we need to pay attention to. So that's the two things we're going to be, hi Kinjal, good morning, we're going to be doing today. But before we move on, one thing, if you are sitting for the MHCT for 2022, we have our last lab to MHCT going on every day at 9 p.m. We have one session that targets MHCT examination. Make sure you don't miss out on these sessions every day at 9 p.m. They've already started 1st August onwards. And make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of our important sessions. Plus, if you wish to enroll yourself for a CAT 22 targeting program, then we have a comprehensive program batch where you are trained under the guidance of serial 99 percentilers. I am alumni. Look no further. Enroll yourself right away. The details of the program are there under my video in the description box. Do I sound like a YouTube influencer? I don't want to sound like one. Good morning, Samad. All right. So, are you guys ready for the first article? Shall I show you the first article, everyone? I'd like you to read the first page, read it, infer, read between the lines, understand the meaning of vocabulary, and once you're done reading that, send me it and we'll try to figure out what the article is about. It's a little about economics, a little about art, but we'll try to understand what it exactly says, okay? So here we go, the first page, read this and send me it done. I've eliminated the first paragraph here though. Here we go. Good morning, Prads. Quickly read this. Easy. So, we now know one thing for sure, that this article tries to understand the economics of a free market for art. Okay, and there is one main argument the author draws here. A very important argument that the author is trying to put across. Although there were penultimate paragraphs that I have erased from this article because I didn't want the article to be very easy for you. What is that one main argument that the author is drawing here in this page? This article is from The Guardian, by the way. What is one main argument the author is drawing here in this page? Hi, Apurva. Good morning. Read this page and tell me what is one argument the author is trying to draw here. Competitive art market, absolutely. So basically, the author gives you an argument that, like a free economy where we are trying to buy and sell goods and products. For example, I'm trying to buy a phone. It's a free market. There's competition. And according to demand and supply, and according to the number of players that are there in the market, the price would go up and down. That's a free market. The similar trend is seen in a market pertaining to art. Art also, its cost also depends upon the demand, supply, and how much competition is there in the market. How the competitive environment in market is driving the influx in the markets? Absolutely. And how easy is it for people to enter the market aided by the influx, and how the fluctuation in the price would be hampered with this influx? Absolutely correct. Okay, so that's one argument the author has put across in this page. This article is not a very difficult one, but since it combined three important topics that CAT usually gives us, I couldn't skip this article. Let's read the next page, everyone. Here you are. Send me done once you're done. Done? Okay. Now, guys, before I discuss this page with you, let's talk about the fact if articles on art can come up. This article is not predominantly about art, it's about economics of art. Okay, articles on art, yes, they intermittently come in CAT and any other MBA entrance examination. Plus, since the schools of art, the forms of art, the eras of art, these are going to be terminologies that are going to be difficult for you. If you are given an article on art specifically, I'd expect you to do a little bit of homework. Okay, now since we've taken up an article on art, after this class happens, a day or two, read a little about a few topics that I'm writing down, so that if an article on art comes, like when we read about philosophy, there are a few terminologies, a few people, philosophers, a few schools we need to know about, so that we're not miffed and taken aback with the difficult names that come up. A similar thing can happen with art. So I'd expect you to do a little bit of homework while you read an article about art, and that is going to be one, reading about the schools of art. Famous artists. And third, the eras. Of course, in the eras, you have to speak about Renaissance, what happened during Renaissance. Okay? Yes. Yes, Muskan. The next article is from Text and Context as well. So ultimately, please read about these three things so that you are comfortable. So when you're reading about the eras, you're going to be reading about Renaissance as well. You're going to be reading about famous artists, the different kinds of schools, different kinds of art forms, different kinds of paintings. What is the difference? How people got influenced? What led to the birth of a new school, a new era, a new style of art? You'll be reading about all of that. Your comfortability will go up. Okay. Now let's read about this page. Back to the article here. This article, of course, makes a claim that a market in art functions exactly in the similar manner to any of the market for any of the goods and services. He makes a very big claim here. He says, here is the claim, this paragraph. He says, if you are there in a market and there is no competition, it's probably almost monopolistic, or probably there are only two players. What's going to happen? There is not going to be any more push inside your mind, inside your head, that will make you outperform yourself. If I'm the only teacher in the world and I know all the kids are going to come to me, how am I going to outperform myself if I have no competition? How am I going to give better and better to the consumers if I have no competition? That's exactly what it says. The quality saw a drop because there was an absence of competition at all in that era. That is similar to how an economy functions. Yes. Okay. So it is similar to how an economy functions. Then he talks about Florence. What happened there? Of course, during the Renaissance period, there were people making art. There were buyers of art. But then if the competition is less, oh guys, just a minute. There's a power cut at my home. I'm going to, guys, I am there. Okay. I am going to teach, but there's a power cut. So I had to turn the camera off. My internet is going to work and we're going to read this together. There's a power backup. So the electricity is going to come back soon. Here we go. Let's read the next page. Let me show you the next page. Just a minute, guys. Here it is. Please read this page. I am here, okay? Please read this. Just send me done once you're done reading this page, everyone. Send me done once you're done. So the electricity is back. Yeah, so Abhilasha, I had to highlight it. Of course, this is a new word that you might not have heard of, but can you guess what would it mean? Can anyone answer? What does monopsony mean? It is the explanation of the claim that's made in the penultimate paragraph. Just, oh God. Okay. What does monopsony mean? Opposite? No. It's basically yeah, exactly. Yes. There's a single buyer. Now there's only one buyer. You have to, since there's no competition for buying as well, you don't have a choice. It turned the entire market into a monopsony because there was only one single large buyer and you had to cater to them only. And since there's only one large buyer, the price cannot fluctuate. Okay, guys, when I talk about the demand and price and the supply, everything, do you guys understand these terminologies and how a market functions regarding the demand and supply and the price of a commodity? I hope everyone does, even if you've not read commerce. So, for example, I'm producing a pen or maybe 10 types of pens, but there's only one buyer. I can't put the price exorbitantly high because ultimately there's only one buyer who I have to sell to. If there's only one buyer who I have to sell to, there's no competition in purchasing. And since there's no competition in purchasing, I can't price it exorbitantly high because I know this is the only buyer that I have. Right? Yes, everyone understands that. Okay, good. So I'm not going to get into the details of how an economy functions in terms of the demand and supply and the price of that commodity. That's exactly what we saw here as a monopsony. So in monopoly, there's only one buyer, one seller, but in monopsony, there was only one buyer. And in either of the cases, it's a loss for the market. It's a loss for the market because it's a free economy. If there's a free economy, there has to be competition in selling and there has to be competition in buying as well. Because I know if you don't buy my product, somebody else will buy and pay me the exorbitant price I am charging. Hence, the authors believe that the artists of Florence, trying to protect their personal economic interest, got together and formed a cartel to win back some of the bargaining power. Now see, the artists were really smart here. It's a story that he's narrating here. Okay. Exactly. Yeah, in that sense, Amrit, you could call it an opposite. I'll buy your point. In that sense, you could. Now, see, the situation was since there was only one buyer, this entire regime would buy the art. The artists were miffed. What they did was really smart. They made a cartel and they said, okay, we're going to come together and we are going to dictate the market now. So this monopoly of the buyer has to come to the monopoly of the producers of the art. So they said, okay, we're not going to give you all the art with the kind of price you're paying us. We will make art only what suits us, being easy, that's easy to make and not a lot of effort that goes by. It is, however, possible that such cartelization was not very beneficial to the cause of the artist. Of course, see, when you make a cartel in any of the markets, if it is a free market, making any kind of cartel as a buyer or as a seller, will it be beneficial for the market free economy? Yes or no? I'd like to know your answers here. If there's any kind of cartel that's created in a free economy, either by buyers or by sellers. That's a good question, I'll tell you. Roosters, it's a very easy one. Mono means one. I know it's going to be the one buyer or one seller. This sentence tells me it's going to be one buyer only. That's how you do that. Contextual meaning. My question again, if there's any cartel that is formed in a free economy, is it going to be in any way beneficial to anyone? No, absolutely not. Because if you make a cartel for your own gain as a seller or as a buyer, it will come back to you. It will come back to you because everything in the economy is interconnected. Everything. What you pay, what you buy, what is the demand, what is the supply, everything is connected. So making a cartel will never be beneficial to anyone. After all, as a part of the cartel that could resist supply of the art, the guild artists would have had to sell their art at prices and terms dictated by only one buyer. So even if they made a cartel, they couldn't sell it anywhere else. they would say, okay, this is what I am going to make. Everyone said, we are going to charge this amount. You buy or you leave. The monopolistic market, there was only one buyer. The buyer said, I'm not going to buy anything. What are you going to do? You have to drop the price of your art. So it's going to be harmful in any way if a free market has any kind of cartel. Let's read the next. Oh, so that is all. Now, ultimately, what is the crux? What is the conclusion of the passage, everyone? Absolutely, it will increase the prices. But ultimately, if there are no buyers, what are you going to do? It will restrict the supply, correct? So, what's the conclusion of the article, everyone? What's the conclusion? What is the gist here? Everyone? What is the gist of the article? Absolutely. And that is a necessity. Disha, absolutely correct. Competition in market dictates the art and the price of the art. Absolutely correct. And it's equivalent to any of the competitive market. Art is no different. Healthy competition is essential to the art market, similar to any other market. Correct. Marketing should not be restricted in any way. Yes. Market should not be restricted. Correct. Competition is necessary. Correct. Decline in Florentine art due to lack of competition. Muskan, Florentine art is only an example used to explain how the market for an art functions in the similar manner to the other markets of the other products. That's the gist of the article. All right. So that was the first article. Now I'm going to show you the second article, and the second article is something that we've at least if you are a Hindu, you must have grown up listening to stories about what the next article talks about. The next article talks about long-termism. But what is long-termism? Other religion, probably not so much, but Hinduism focuses a lot on long-termism. Let's understand what is long-termism. Is this article at all about religion? No, it isn't. Not at all. It's about nature. It's about environment. It's about ethics. It's about philosophy. So let's read this article, read the page, and tell me if this term sounds a little familiar one to the Hindu households. Tell me that. Read the page and send me a done. Yes, Abhilasha, that is it. It's reincarnation, Punarjanam in Hindi. So, back to it. I'm sure if you have grown up in a Hindu household, you must have heard of this word and many stories associated with it. This article talks about long-termism. Long-termism is thinking about long term. That is, if at all, imagine yourself being born over and over and over again. You born once and then you die and then you born again as probably some other individual and then you born again. But you're perennially here in the world. You're always there. You die and then you have a reincarnation as probably an African or probably an Asian or probably an American. You are born again and again. You spend so much of time here probably suffering with malaria and smallpox, or probably making food, or probably studying, or 20% of your life actually spent in raising, that's a sad part, raising children. So the idea is, imagine yourself being born over and over and over again. What happens after that? What happens? What is the article focusing on? There's no important argument. Yeah, exactly. Yes, Brad. So the article doesn't make any claim here. We'll have to read the next page to know what the claim here is. Here we go with the next page. Read this one. What is the argument here now? Everyone, very careful. What is the argument here? What is the argument of the author? Okay. What is the argument? Roosters, I didn't get what you've written. What is the argument of the author here? What is the author trying to claim with this long-termism idea that you're born again and again and again and you'll never die, you'll be incarnated as somebody else? What is the author trying to claim here? Living different lives in different time zones to have better understanding of different perspectives. Okay, Disha, I'll buy your point. Entire cycle of being born first on earth till the end. Yes. And this entire cycle of being born first on earth till being the last person on this world, why is it necessary for you to know that you can be reborn in future? Because the author wants you to be empathetic. Let me write this word. He wants you to be empathetic. Empathy is if, for example, guys, understand this very clearly. This entire paragraph gives you the author's main argument. He says, you were born in the past, you can be reborn again. If you believe into this theory, this will teach you empathy because you will think about your ancestors and you will also be more thoughtful about your future because you can be reborn again in the future. And I'm sure if you believe into this, you would not leave the world in a bad state because you might come back in one form or the other. You will know empathy. You will be empathetic towards your ancestors. You'll also be empathetic towards your future generations. Morality is at the core about being empathetic and sympathetic. Yes, Amrit, it is. And this entire thought process is to ignite the thought of morality in your head. What is morally right? What is morally wrong? I might turn the AC on for the whole day because I feel hot in my room. But then if I believe into the fact that I might be reborn again after 20 years, I might not want to live in a world that's full of greenhouse emission. I'll be more empathetic. I'll do things that are morally right. Did we understand the gist of this page, everyone? The claim the author is trying to make? Send me a thumbs up and hit the like button right now if you haven't done that yet. We're going to move to the next page now. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet as well. All right. Yeah. So here we go with the next page. This one. Read this and send me done. Done, everyone? Okay. Now, just a minute. So now the author basically links the idea of you being born over and over again to the idea of long-termism. What is long-termism? There's a definition that says here, the idea that positively influencing the long-term future is the key moral priority of our time. Let's understand this concept of long-termism. The author says long-termism is thinking about long-term, thinking about the future generation and doing what is morally right, doing what is morally correct, not only for the present but for the long term. This ideology is long-termism. So if you buy the fact that you could be born again and again and again, this is not the only life that you'll be living in, you would focus on long-termism and you'll be doing something that's morally correct for you. Exactly, because we, according to the article, we are the ancients. Exactly, we are the ancients, we are not the present. We are the ancients and we need to focus on long-termism here. That's exactly what this line means. According to this article, this is not the present. You are an ancient, you were born back then, you are reincarnated doing this preparing for cat, and probably you'll be reincarnated some other day as some other person. This may sound strange, but we need to be doing something that's wise, that will keep the world a better place if I am reborn again. I wouldn't want to live in this world again if it is like this. So I'll do things that are better for my world. It took me a very long time to come around long-termism. Over the past 12 years, he's been doing things that are altruistic. What is altruism? Exactly. So that's why, Amrit, I said this article is a combination of talking about nature, philosophy, and life. All of this is a mixture. And it's a beautifully written article. This article is from the Text and Context of the Hindu. It's been a while that we did an article from the Hindu. That's ironical because the series that I take, is named as the Hindu Editorial Analysis, but I don't stick to it for your own betterment. Okay, what is, altruism is selflessness, social work, welfare of others, benefit of others. Exactly, that's altruism. Doing good without any expectation of return is altruism. So he says, this author says, he had been an altruist, helping people around him, but long-termism, it took him time to understand that. Read the page and send me a done. It's okay, Prats. Now you know it. Done? Okay. There's a claim that the author makes here. The author says he's been an altruist all his life, but it took him a lot of time to be on the same page as long-termism expects him to be. He wasn't a person who would abide by long-termism. What is the difference? Altruism focuses on helping people around you, right now. That's long-termism. So I'll be doing social work, helping people who are suffering in Sudan, or helping people who are suffering in Israel or Palestine or Afghanistan. I could do that. I'm an altruist. But am I thinking about the next generation and the generation after that? Probably the generation after 100 years, if we are able to continue this world for 100 years. The author didn't think of that. The author omitted that the future people also count. So despite focusing on the present, you need to also focus on the future. That is one thing that differentiates between being altruistic to the present generation to being a long-termist. The future is certainly bigger than the present, and that's what the author focuses you to do. Not working on the present only, but being empathetic towards what you are left in the future. That's the claim made by the author there. Read the last page, everyone, and send me a done. Exactly, not so far-sighted. Yes, it's a very interesting one. See, there's a very common saying that says out of sight is out of mind. The future generation is out of our sight. And that's exactly why it's out of our mind as well. These people who are going to be born in the future, they don't tweet, they don't vote. And that's exactly why we miss out on so many things while we don't think about them. Because they are out of our sight and thus they're out of our mind. So we do things that would please us, that would help us. But ultimately, and there's a word that says disenfranchised. Disenfranchised is basically when you take away the right to vote from someone, when you take away the basic rights from somebody, when you put them in a deprived state, is disenfranchised. Of course, the future generation is disenfranchised because they don't have a right to vote yet. They don't have a say yet because they aren't even born. But we as people, we need to remember that harm is going to be harm even if it occurs 10 years down the line, 100 years down the line. A beautiful example of this breaking of the glass bottle here. It is going to hurt somebody someday. If not today, maybe after 20 years, maybe after 2 hours, maybe after 200 years, but it is going to hurt somebody. So, ignoring the future generation is just being too selfish. Exactly, yes, it's this saying that out of sight is out of mind is very, very well suited here in the last paragraph. So we can renounce the tyranny of our present. Tyranny of the present is the present generation thinking that we are the dictators. Tyrannical is being a dictator. I will do what I like. I will do what pleases me. I will do what suits me and benefits me, ignoring the future generation. So this tyranny needs to go down of the present over the future and act as trustees for all humanity. Humanity today, tomorrow, and yesterday. Everyone helping to create a flourishing world for generations and generations to come that they would love to live in, which has no harm and no suffering that we leave behind for them. That is the gist of the last page. This is the last page, I think. No. Not this one. Yes. Read this page, everybody. That's the last page. From this part. Done? The repetition of the same thing over and over again here as well. It's like a speech where the author is trying to pull you up, motivate you, talk like a leader, and say, okay, think about the future generation. You can't be mean to your own generation. You might be reborn again as somebody else, and then you would hate this life like we are hating our lives right now, probably because we ourselves did something bad to our planet in our last birth. So it's important for us to prevent the destruction that we are causing, like nuclear warheads or catastrophes. Catastrophes could be earthquakes and tsunamis and pollution. All of these are on the horizon. We have to prevent them for the future generation. It's very, very important. We can be pivotal in steering the future. Pivotal is very important. It's the center point. So we can be pivotal in steering the future. Where our future goes, we have the steering wheel. We can decide which direction our future goes to. We can be pivotal in steering the future onto a better trajectory. A better trajectory is, for example, this is a graph. How your trajectory is? Is it like this or is it going up like this? We will decide how our trajectory is. We are going to steer this graph because we have the steering in our hand. We are very, very important there. That's the meaning of this line. Yes, it's completely premise. Yes, Muskan, absolutely. So there's no better time. The time is right now. One important answer. What's the tone of the author, everybody? This is tricky. What's the tone? Let me talk to you about the tone of the author here. What do you think is the tone? Tone, everyone. Think carefully. Is it expository? Not really. Is it explanatory? It could be enlightening. is the article written in a manner where the author talks to you like a leader does, and he's trying to influence you to think more about the future generation? And if yes, what is one word for that? Concerning, okay, Lovepreet. Argumentative, oh, okay. Out of how many? I mean, the entire mock you're scoring 5, or one RC you're scoring 5? You have to tell me that. Influential, okay. Auditory, yes. Absolutely optimistic, a bit of it. A bit of it. But it's more like a leader trying to influence you. That, guys, you need to work hard. You need to see that you could be reborn again in the future, and you don't want to live in a world like this. In VARC, okay. Abhishek, see, one, I mean, it's not a very small answer, because I'd like to see your VARC scores, your mock scores, your pattern. It could be didactic. Absolutely, Amrit. That is one word I was trying to look for. It absolutely is didactic. It's like the author giving you instructions that, dude, you better straighten up yourself because you could be reborn. That is the tone. It is didactic. Others, if you don't know what didactic means, didactic is like a leader giving you instructions that, please buck up. Prads, this is didactic. Okay. All right. So back to Abhishek's answer. Abhishek, please look at an analysis and see what's going wrong. Absolutely, what would go wrong has to be you not being very comfortable with RCs, because that's the most important kind of question that you would see coming up in the VARC section. Please identify if you are able to mind map, if you're able to understand the summary, the tone, the gist, the main theme of the article. See if you were able to Abhishek, you need to speak to either Sanojam sir or probably Nikita ma'am. You could speak to them and do an analysis of your mock and understand what's going wrong. And see if there are specific kind of questions you're getting wrong, if there are specific kind of RCs you're not comfortable with. I'd also expect you to come regularly to these classes, because it's not only the Hindu that we do. We do tons of other things. You just need to be regular. We still have 4 months. You could absolutely make it. Remember that. You just need to figure out what is going wrong. Do a detailed analysis of your mocks, everyone. Okay. So I'd like to wind up the class, but do not leave the class before you like the video. Comment under my video. If you think you benefited with the class, please do that. Everyone loves appreciation. Please share the video with your friends and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, and download our app on Google Play. Thank you so much, everyone. I shall see you Thursday. Have a very good day. God bless you.